So a lot of you have probably heard of greenwashing when it comes to buying stuff, but have you ever heard of clay washing? We're going to talk about what that is and how it's one of the biggest conspiracies sweeping farmers markets. Let's go. So a lot of you probably heard of greenwashing, which is the act of selling something at an upcharge for essentially a claim that it's eco-friendly. Now, rightfully so, I'd be frustrated if I was paying more for something that was really being lied to. And a lot of people have not heard of clay washing, which is doing the exact same thing, believe it or not, but at farmers markets. So in a day and age where a lot of consumers want to get to know their farmer, a lot of farmers that are bad apples are taking produce that they buy from wholesale markets or produce auctions, and they're actually taking this produce and washing it in clay. So it's literally clay washing. And the rationale for doing that is that there was a study found by the National Farmers Market Association that found that consumers are willing to pay 25% more for the exact same product if it came dirty, believe it or not. And the reason why is because there's a perception that dirty produce is actually more directly from the farm and from the earth than clean produce is. And so farmers that are actually selling dirty produce have a chance to upsell them because there's a trust factor. And that trust factor people pay good money for. So here's how this whole clay washing thing goes down. Farmers will take a washed tomato, pepper, cucumber. They'll take some clay, right? Take some clay. They'll dissolve it in water, right? They'll dissolve it in water, and they will either take a pump sprayer like this or a bucket of water. And what they do is they spray down the produce. Now, when this dries, it will dry with dirt spots. It'll look as if it was basically grown in a field, harvested right then and there, and then brought to market. So we'll let this dry. I'll show you the other way that things get clay washed. All right, so here's the second way. Take a pepper and simply put it into the mixture of clay water. And now it's super heavy clay. This thing is all coated up, and when this dries, it'll look exactly the same as what's on our plants. Check it out. So underneath here we have our pepper plants, and you'll notice, look at all these peppers that have been kind of splashed with the clay. Now the clay is coming from the soil, and you'll notice I did not spray these down. They're just covered with the clay. There's some more right there. There's some more right there. And you know, farmers obviously can just pick that, take that right to market, because it saves on time on washing, but it also allows you to upcharge. Same thing can be done with cucumbers. So you have a cucumber that's washed, and even from just holding this cucumber with, you know, muddy water hands, you can see just how dirty this cucumber is getting. So this one's washed. This one has been clay washed. Now obviously it's pretty obvious when you see fingerprints all over, so farmers aren't quite that dumb if they're gonna try to rig the system. Farmers are actually pretty smart to think of something so conniving as this, but it doesn't mean it's right just because it's smart. But this right here, as this dries, check it out. See how dirty that looks? It looks like it was just grown right in the ground, right in the field. And these farmers, some of these people don't even actually have a farm. Some just go right to the market, they buy wholesale, or they go to an auction, they buy big bins of the stuff, they gray wash it, upcharge it by 20, 25%, because people are willing to pay for dirty produce. So what can we do about it? All right, so our examples have dried a little bit, and you can really see that dried clay show through here, and it looks like it was just picked from a plant and it was hanging low to the ground right at the farm. You'd never know that this was washed. But also, check it out. Pepper's not fully dry yet, but look at this cucumber. It looks like it was just sitting right in the dirt. It was harvested and taken right to market. So like I said, this is really frustrating to me as someone that is obviously a consumer advocate. I want to encourage people to support their local farmer. There are bad actors out there. There are people that are just looking out for their own dollar, for making a quick buck, and are kind of lying and ripping off others. And like I said, this is a huge problem, and many farmers have been caught doing this. The first way that you can actually know if it's true or not is by looking at kind of the severity of the clay. Some people are just bad at it. And like, this is kind of a bad example. It's overly dirty, and you can tell that it was actually, I just like manhandled this thing with tons of clay in my hand, because really, you know, unless this thing was buried in the dirt, it shouldn't be this dirty. So the severity of the dirt is kind of a telltale. Tomatoes are so hard to tell, I'll be honest. Cucumbers and stuff that has a lot of texture, really easy to tell fakes from like genuine like field dirt. Tomatoes are tricky because of the fact that their skin is kind of waxy. It has a tendency to beat up a little bit, and you'll notice, I mean, if I let this dry, there's no way that I could tell that it was, that it was clay washed. So what can you do in this instance? Well, you can get to know your farmer. You can actually ask them questions about where their farm is, right? See if they actually even have a farm. A lot of farmers won't go through the length of washing their stuff in dirty water just to upcharge because they can just harvest it from the field like that. So a lot of farmers that actually have a farm, they won't need to actually lie. A lot of the bad actors are the ones going off to wholesale markets, buying a bunch of washed produce that looks really pretty and then washing it in dirty water. So you can just get a chance to know your farmer and ask where their farm is at. Look at it on Google Maps or see if they have a Facebook page. And that can really tell you a lot because generally, more often than not, the people that are doing this don't actually even have a farm to begin with. All right, the third way, and this is probably the easiest way for things like peppers, is because the dirt is going to be lower near the tip and cleaner near the top. And that's because the dirty water has a tendency to beat up and run down. So you'll notice on this pepper, a lot of the dirt is concentrated at the tip. That's really hard to replicate. In our example here, when we had it just dunked in that dirt, obviously the whole thing is dirty. It's probably excessively dirty. Like in the case of the cucumber, I'd probably be like, yeah, that's kind of a red flag. But when it comes to really good fakes, it's super hard to fake unless they have the peppers hanging and they spray them hanging like this. Gravity pulls down. If they're spraying it like this, the dirt will be super even on the pepper, and that's really, really difficult to achieve in nature because gravity has a tendency to pull the dirty water down near the tip. So the tip is typically the dirtiest part of most of these fruits. Now, still difficult with tomatoes because of the fact that they're round and gravity doesn't really affect them as much, but that being said, look for the location of the dirt as well. That can kind of tell you a fake from a genuine one. So the fourth way to not get duped by clay washers is to simply, well, don't pay the difference. This is really simple, but it's actually probably the best way to not get duped because of the fact that a lot of times farmers that are clay washing, I don't call them farmers. No real true farmer is going to be duping their customers. I would say bad actors. The times that bad actors are found clay washing is because they get their stuff clean from a wholesale market or a produce auction, and they know that you're willing to pay more. But genuine farmers, the people that are the salt of the earth, the people that are wholesome and they want to simply provide food and they want to just simply make an honest living, those farmers know that most of the cost of this pepper or tomato or cucumber, whatever they're taking to market, most of that cost is in labor. And if they don't have to wash their produce, common sense would say you've already saved a ton of money by not having to wash your produce. So all the honest people simply charge the same amount, but they don't have as much attached to the top line, right? They don't have as much labor cost. So they're already saving what they would normally have to upcharge to make up the difference. So just don't pay the difference and pay what everyone else is paying, what the kind of the average going rate is for produce. And I know that's a little hard to say, well, what's the going rate? Because obviously it's hard to tell, but you can simply look at an average. If a tomato costs $2.50 or so, don't pay for one that costs $3 but is dirty, right? Go for one that's going to be $2.50 and dirty, and you're probably going to be getting from an honest farmer. And I will also say, I know this is a very, very contentious issue. I will say that not every farmer that is genuine is going to be clay washing if their produce is more. This is not to say that, right? I just want to be super clear here because I know my whole family is farmers. I have a ton of farmers in my family. None would be caught dead doing this because this is just, I don't know how you'd sleep at night doing this, but there are a lot of farmers that just have a premium product and they obviously charge more. That comes down to getting to know your farmer, creating a relationship with your farmer, asking where their farm is at, and those other ways to kind of indicate, dupes from truths, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope you'll spread this video around, spread it to everybody that you know, because this is something that not a lot of people are talking about, but it's just starting to become a thing, right? And I want to get it before you guys get duped. I want you guys to save money, support your farmer, support the farmers that should be supported, not the fakes. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. Take care.